Okay, first up, the kick up. The kick up is the first thing we're going to have a look at because it's one of the most overlooked part of handstands. However, if you do not have what we're going to call an efficient kick up, are vastly reducing your chances at holding a handstand today or tomorrow. Everybody overemphasizes balance at the expense of what you have to do to get to a point where you can balance. I like to call the kick up the base layer of your cake. And balance is almost the cherry on the cake. And people want a cherry, but they don't have a cake. If your kick up is not strong enough, you will not be able to balance. If your kick up is too strong, you will not be able to balance. If your kick up is too random, you won't be able to balance consistently. We will zoom on that in due time, but for now, there is two forms of kick ups, either lunging and kicking up, or starting with the hands already on the floor. They are both very valid. If you struggle to get far enough, overshot enough consistently, I suggest that you go for the standing up variation because this step into the kick up will create some useful momentum for you to get up there. If, on the contrary, you're quite good at getting there, but you lack control, I would suggest that you go for the handstand on the floor variation. In this one, we kill the momentum that we could generate from hinging in the hips, and therefore we have to be more precise with what the legs do and what the shoulders do. In handstands, we practice only one side. There is no need for you to practice both sides. I hear this quite a lot, people being overly concerned about becoming uneven. But the practice, the volume that you're going to go through is not enough for you to become imbalanced. And you're better off in terms of learning progression and pace to actually bring only your attention on one side, your good side. Make that good side perfect. Achieve your handstand there, and your other side will catch up very quickly. It will only take you a few days after you have mastered the 15-second for standing handstand on one side to make the other side catch up. But if you keep alternating, actually keep confusing yourself. It may seem trivial, but going from one side to the other is almost like changing the rules of the game you're playing. And your brain, which already has a hard time figuring out what's supposed to happen upside down, is now being further confused by this alternating between one side and the other. So as much as possible, stick to your good side. What is the good side? For most of you, it's going to be obvious right off the bat. Which side allows you to land the easiest against the wall? If there is no winner, then you may try the same without the wall. If you still haven't found a winner, then it's about assessing how qualitative your kick-up is. In other words, which of both sides allows you to land the softest against the wall? And usually there is one side that really performs better than the other. There will be a note about those sides in fear as well. So if you haven't decided just yet which side you want to work on because it's not obvious to you, have a look at the crash course about fear. Now you have decided on your side and you have decided on your starting position, hands on the floor or standing up ready to launch. Depending on where you are in your journey, you may need to end up in a different position. More specifically, at that stage of the journey, if you struggle to get up to the wall consistently, then I need you to swing everything you have at the wall. In other words, for now, I would rather you bring both feet on the wall. But because this position is actually harder to balance for reasons we will see later, and less resilience because everything is stuck as one unit. And when it falls too far one way, there's nothing to compensate for it the way we would with a V shape. If you can get up to the wall consistently, I'm going to ask you to get there with only one foot against it. So now you have the side in which you want to practice how you want to get into your kick up and the alignment, the position of your body you want to end up with once you have landed. We do not practice kick-ups one after the other. We practice handstands in sets of 1 to 3 reps, and kick-ups are no exception. So please get rid of the habit of kicking up again and again and again until something works. This is the best way to rely sheerly on luck. Most people hit the point of diminishing return after the second or the third rep. So whatever happens after that is not likely to be your best rep. But sometimes you will strike luck. You will find goal. And the problem is you are mentally taxed, whether you realize it or not. Problem, because you're mentally tired, you won't quite know what you did differently. And so you keep shooting in the dark until this happens more and more, which is the antithesis of what this course is about. I need you to be much more mindful. Treat each rep as if it was close to a personal max. So you kick up once, twice, and then you have to stand up and look away for 10, 15, 20 seconds before you go again. And for those of you who have a lot of stamina, this may sound like a lot, but trust me, I'm going to keep repeating it until I stop seeing it. Being stubborn about kicking up until it works is one of the worst things you can do to actually become more consistent freestanding. If you can have a good kick up once a blue moon, you already have the recipe in you to achieve a good handstand kick up. And instead of pausing to reflect upon the ingredients that you have chosen and those that you have discarded to be able to perform a beautiful kick up, you keep randomly doing all the recipes that you can come up with, hoping that you will find the same that works. This is not efficient. And it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer to figure out what works and what doesn't. Be more mindful. Sets of 1 to 3 reps. Finally, about the mechanics of the kick up itself, we have 3 main things we want to take into consideration: the back leg, the front leg, and the shoulders. For now, understand that the more you can swing and push, swing with the back leg and push with the front leg, the better. And the more you can have your chest look backwards, away from the wall, the better. Do not try to balance. You're trying to kick up. You're working on that pillar, not on the balancing pillar. I do not want to see you trying to balance before you land on the wall. I do not want to see you trying to balance instead of landing on the wall. I do not want to see you getting too far away from the wall and trying to balance there, using the wall just as a safety net. Those are perfectly fine for different scenarios. And the goal of this course is to separate those scenarios and to get you clear about when to use them and when not. The distance between the hands and the wall should roughly be 2 feet away, unless you're working on a fit together position or a butt on the wall position, which we call pike positions, in which case you're going to be roughly 1 foot to 1 hand away from the wall. Your mission is to get on the wall every single time, soft every single time, in the same position every single time. And this is not easy.